As you are watching this video, a child is being sexually exploited on the internet. You may have received a link, seen a pop-up, or come across sexual content involving a child. Every time you watch this content, this child is being abused again and again. You can do something about it. Simply visit Lifeline Childline's website and report anonymously. Copy-paste the link to the abusive content and click on Submit Report. Or visit your nearest police station. By doing this, you help remove the content and save this child from exploitation. Be the change. End violence online.
Hello everyone, welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Mr. Mario Atanazo Ananias. Welcome my friend Pomwene. And before everything, let's not forget to put on our mask, sanitize our hands, self-distancing. And our lesson for today is on social health. Learners, let's go on page 16. Learning competencies. This is what you have to know at the end of this lesson. We should be able to identify the stages and characteristics of human growth development from the diagrams. It means we'll be provided with the diagrams and we'll be able to tell which stage is that. Second competency. We'll be able to describe the physical changes that take place in humans from birth to death. It means what happened to us as human beings during our lives. The third competency, we'll be able also to explain how each person grows and matures at a different pace. Let's move on. In our previous lesson, we have learned the following, which are the changes on boys and girls. It says, boys grow beard. It's only that I'm wearing a mask now, can't see mine. The voice of the boys deepen. It means boys, their voices have to change. Girls' hips widen. So the sizes of the hips of the girls have to get a little bit bigger. Boys and the girls, they both develop pimples. And when it's come to ladies as well, they start with menstrual cycle, or the menstruation begins. Let's go to page 17. Before we step on the depth of our lesson, let's look at the words that might be difficult for us. Stages. What is a stage? A stage is a step in the development, or it's a development process of somebody. Human growth. Human growth is when an infant body matures into a body of an adult. It means we are looking at from being a child or a baby until we become an old person. Matures is when the body is fully developed. It means you become a very big person now, or a grown somebody. Physical changes. These are the changes that relate to the body. It means we can see them. When you are thinking of something that's not a physical change, physical changes should be possibly seen or can be identified on your body. We look at the pace. The pace is the speed at which something happens. How fast or how slow does the pace? And we look at the genitals, the organs involved in reproduction. We said, let's go back to our competence, which is on page 16, which says we will be able to identify the stages and the characteristics of human growth and development from the diagram. It says, we are studying the very, very first stage of life. Everybody, or all of us, no matter how big or small we are, at one point in life, we are all infants. It means we're all babies. How were we looking when we were babies? We were actually very small in bodies. Our heads were a little bit bigger compared to our bodies. We were all born without teeth, and that's the stage where we normally grow very quickly. So those are the characters of somebody who is an infant, the newborns. And if you look on your right-hand side there, you can see a picture of infant. We're moving on, toddler, which is the next stage or the second stage after being an infant or a baby. How are they looking, or how will you be able to tell that somebody is a toddler? First thing is about the ages or years. A toddler should be at the age of 1 to 3. How do they look like? Their bodies become to get bigger. They learn how to walk. Their coordination skills develop. It means that they start now to do things by themselves. They know that if I want to walk from here to there, I'll hold on a chair, or I'll hold on a bed, or whatever. As brain and muscles develop, the toddler learn to walk, run, climb, talk, feed, dress by themselves. This is the stage where all of us have learned how to put on our own clothes. That's the second stage of life. We are moving on to page 18. The third stage of life, a child or children, their age should be between 4 and 12. These people are actually young person, not yet an adult. But how do they look like? How will you tell if somebody is a child or not? A child, the body proportions change. The head is not as large in relation to the rest of the body. We have explained in the infant that the head is bigger than the body. But here, if you are a child, the body should be now bigger than the head. Their coordination skills develop further. So here is where you find a lot of them, they try to have their own favorite sport codes. Is where now they develop some of the skills. They become masters of some skills. They name themselves after celebrities because of what they like doing. And then the replacement of milk teeth by permanent teeth. This is the time that they lose their first teeth. Okay? They start shaking them and remove them. That's the stage of being a child. The next stage of life is adolescent, which is also sometimes called teenage stage. Okay? Everybody in this stage, the age has to end with the word teen. It means if your age reads as a teen, you're an adolescent or a teenager. What happens? These people grow to an adult size. Some of them, if you don't know them well, you might even think that they are adults, but they are not. And then boys at this stage, when they are teenagers, what happens with the boys? They grow hair on their faces, which is called beard. Okay? Those are boys. And they also grow hair under their arms. Right? You might realize that one of your brothers started now putting on long sleeves because they don't want you to see the hair that grows under their arms because they are teenagers. Both boys and girls, they grow hair under their genitals. Around their reproductive parts, they grow their hair. Their voices deepen. Their voices become deeper. My voice was not like this when I was a boy. But when I became a teenager, I got this voice. The chest and the shoulders widen. You realize that the shoulder of the boys become broadened. It moves out of the neck. The reproductive organs grow larger. It means their genital parts, they become bigger. The boys, the testicles, they start to produce sperm. It means they are at the stage of making babies. The girls grow hair under the arms and around the genitals. It means under their armpit, they grow hair, and also around their reproductive parts. Their hips, the side of the hips become wider, it moves out of the body. They start with the menstrual periods, or the menstruation begins. They are going to have their monthly period every month. And also their ovaries, which you can't see. You will learn more about that at the later stage. The ovaries start to produce eggs. Those are the characteristics of adolescents or teenagers. I hope you're all with me. Let's move on to page 19. We are looking at adults, okay? So now we are talking about people of my stage. We are done with Pamwene here. Now you are talking about me. What people should be, or what are the expectations of people at my stage, or in my stage. Little physical changes after reaching adulthood, okay? So when an adult person doesn't really change, the changes are hardly seen because they happen at a very low pace, okay? So they don't change, they don't grow fast anymore as the young ones. Some adults gain weight. The only normally thing that changes with them is the body size. Either become bigger, a little bit small. Okay? Men may become bald, and at some stage also, women stop menstruating during menopause. Some of these things are also going to learn deeper about them as time goes. Then we go to the final stage of life. That's old age. These are the grandmothers and the grandfathers. They are 60 years and more. What happens to them? Their skin develop wrinkles. It means the kind of spots and falling skin. Hair becomes gray. Normally you hear people saying that I'm having a white head. It's normally not white but gray. Their hair change from being black or dark or brown and become gray. The sight, the hearing, and the memory may become weaker. When you are staying with a grandmother or grandfather, they normally call you closer when you're talking to them because they can't hear well. Or sometimes you might realize that they even send you somewhere because they can't see well. The muscles become weaker. Even if you feel them, you can feel that their muscles are actually a bit weaker compared to teenagers, adults, and the rest of the people. And they become tired so easily. When you walk at distance with a grandmother, grandfather, you realize that sometimes they pause the walk or telling you that let's rest a little bit because I'm tired. Those are the characteristics of the old age, which is 60 and above. Bear with me. We are moving to page 20. On page 20, we are stepping a little bit further when you are looking at how everybody grows and matures at a different pace. We have looked at the stages of life, but it doesn't mean that all of us have to reach those stages at the same time, even though if you were born in the same day. It says, our bodies change in similar ways, meaning that your body have to change as mine through life. But it doesn't happen at the same time or at the same age, depending on the pace. Remember, we talked about the pace already, how fast or slow. Sometimes the differences in timing can be difficult to cope with when you are growing up, okay? One might feel that one is behind everybody else. Some people might even think that if their peers, somebody who's even born after them is having beard, why they don't develop beard yet, they might think that they are behind. But that's not the case. Just hold on until your time comes. You are talking about the pace. This happens because we grow and develop at different pace from others on the same age. If you look at your class, You look at your friends. If you ask how old is everybody in your class, you realize that some people that are having the same age as you, some are even looking bigger, some are even looking younger than you while they're sharing the same age. It's just because everybody is unique in his or her own way. We continue. Humans grow and mature at a different pace or speed. We have just explained that. And it could be because of different reasons. Now we have to understand why women have to grow fast or why women have to grow slowly than anybody else. Why some teachers who have the same age as other teachers are looking younger than the other teachers. This can be some of the reasons. It can be the genetics. This is something that we are born with. It can be nutrition because of what we eat. We don't eat the same thing every day. Or different houses have different meals. It can also be because of health. Some people might have different diseases that can avoid them from getting or from growing fast, which is maybe making them to grow very slowly. However, even though, no matter at what stage of development we are, we should always treat others with respect and kindness, irrespective of how fast or how slow somebody grows. You have to treat that person as much as you want to be treated. We are concluding. We are saying that various stages of human growth and development. We have the infant, we have the toddler, we have children or child, adolescence, which is a teenager, we have adults, and we have our grandparents, which is old age, above the age of 60. I hope you have listened very well. Let's taste our knowledge. Go to page 21, activity 1 for the day. Question 1. The following stage of human growth and development are mixed up. Now, we want you to rewrite them or the words in the correct order from the youngest to the oldest stage of development. You are having them on the left, all of them written down. Now we want you to write them in order from which one comes first in somebody's life until the last one. Question 2. Name the developmental stage in which the maturing of the reproductive organs take place. We are saying that the maturing of organs, reproductive organs specifically, it takes place in one of the stages. Which one is it? You write it down there. Question 3. Complete the table by describing the main physical changes that can occur at each stage in the human life cycle. So what are we expecting you to do? We want you to complete the characteristics that happen to everybody in his or her stage of development. We have growth or developmental stages on our left: infant, toddler, child, adolescent, adult, and old age. And then on our right side, we have main physical changes that occur. Infant is already done for you as an example. So you have now to continue with the rest by giving all the details regarding each of the stage of development. I hope you have enjoyed your video. But before that, let's not forget to sanitize our hands and keep self-distancing as well as wearing our mask. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Shoshi and I am back. My mommy used to tell me that I need to wash my hands and sanitize it to keep the germs away. Also, one thing you can remember is to sing the alphabet song while you wash your hands. After that, it will be super clean. I usually do it. Until next time, bye!
When the war broke out in Syria some 5 years ago, Ala, an architecture student, was in her second year of school. Then her life turned upside down.
There were no chance to complete my study in a place where people is dying.
Ala began looking outside Syria to continue her studies. She reached out to a non-profit group based in Portugal. As luck would have it, they offered Ala a scholarship to complete her degree in Lisbon, the capital city. Called the Global Platform for Syrian Students, it's helping 150 students like Ala to study in 10 countries, including Portugal.
It's a good example how a small country like Portugal, undergoing very difficult economic situation, was able nevertheless to make a pilot experience and to show that Europe can do much more than it is doing, creating a win-win situation.
The United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, is urging European countries to admit up to 200,000 asylum seekers from conflict zones, including Syria. Portugal announced that it's willing to increase its resettlement quota of Syrian refugees from 4,500 to as many as 10,000 as soon as possible. An elderly couple provided Ala with accommodations during her stay in Portugal. She calls them her second family. But she dreams of returning to Syria and rebuilding the country.
I have to be there in the future on the land, rebuilding from the zero, because Syria is my first country.
Ala will never forget the chance Portugal gave her, although returning to Syria is her priority.
It's my dream, but also I cannot forget what Portugal did for me. So Portugal is also my second country.
Ala hopes to obtain a master's degree in architecture by next year. In the meantime, she's becoming more fluent in Portuguese, and her new classmates try to help her forget the crisis in Syria, just for a fleeting moment. This report was produced by Zara Makawi for the United Nations.
I'm feeling so bad because of I have been arrested. We are trying to sell to provide our kids with food, but the police, they come to arrest us.
I was literally apprehended in Independence Avenue. I mean, there was no prior communications with the police or with Bonn or Benga, Namibia. These guys literally just apprehended us on surprise.
And when you are talking in a manner that is exaggerated about brutality in this country, I should ask you in which country you live.
Yes, I can confirm that indeed there were 2 cell phones that were found after a search was conducted at the cells that the fish rot accused us staying.
Do you understand the amount of money that the government has spent on the fight against COVID-19? Could they have spent 300 million on tracing people and managing people? Is that even possible?
Scientists are racing to find a COVID-19 vaccine. Creating a vaccine usually takes years, sometimes even decades. More than 150 vaccine candidates are being developed worldwide. Some of the trials furthest ahead have produced encouraging results. Several possible vaccines appear to have produced an immune response with antibodies, T cells, and no serious side effects. Antibodies are protective proteins that fight infections in the body. Some T cells kill infected cells. Others help B cells to make the right antibodies to fight a virus. It's uncertain how long immunity to COVID-19 would last. 6 other human coronaviruses have been known about for years. Natural immunity for the most common 4 is quite short-lived and generally lasts a few years. A COVID-19 vaccine could require booster jabs after years or even months. Scientists are using a variety of methods to make a vaccine. Several human trials are creating vaccines using the genetic code of the virus. Other human trials, and some with animals, are trying more traditional methods, such as using a weakened or inactive virus. This variety might lead to more than one type of vaccine. Having several could actually be very useful, as each one may be more effective among different people. Despite the promising progress, it's not guaranteed an effective and reliable vaccine will be found. If there isn't one, the virus might eventually infect everyone. Some scientists are hoping to have a vaccine ready for limited use before the end of this year, but most are predicting mid-2021. Once regulators have approved a vaccine, billions of doses will have to be made. Then there's the tricky task of distributing and administering it on a global scale. Collaboration will be needed so the poorest don't miss out. Health workers could be at the front of the queue to get it. But who should be next in line?
On the Gold Coast of West Africa lies the peaceful and diverse nation of Ghana. I'm pretty close right now to the geographical center of the Earth. It is also one of the last pockets for elephants in the wilds of West Africa.
You know, every country in the world just about has cattle, sheep, goats, horses, donkeys, but it's only Africa that has the real megafauna, the charismatic stuff which people in the rest of the world want to see.
The passion that the staff have for the job.
There's value to a bird which brings birders to a place like this. I mean, this is a birding paradise. We see an intrinsic appreciation and joy from seeing the wildlife out here, but not everybody does.
You can't get to Mali and then will not be passionate about what we do, because you'll be the only one left. Everybody is passionate.
The only worthwhile war, the war against destruction, the war against loss, the war for peace, for balance, for inclusion.
Just out of my way, buffaloes